So today we're going to be talking a little bit about long-running phishing scams. But as a little bit of an introduction, my name is Matthew Christoffel. I am the chair of the Cybersecurity Community Outreach Organization. Our goals are, as our name suggests, to spread cybersecurity and safety awareness to everybody who wants to come in and have a listen. Amelia Sieg is our vice chair. Brandon Kazmierzak is our activity coordinator. We have Ivan Quinones here today, who is our awesome treasurer. He gets things done. You can see him wearing the nice new shirts he got our team. Fantastic stuff. We also have Sophia Knox, our secretary, Aiden Collins, our current webmaster, and Matthew Quintero, our digital media coordinator. If you take a look at our YouTube channel, you'll very soon see more shorts posted by him. Fantastic videos. So once again, we spread awareness about cyber safety and just try to promote as much as we can within the local Tallahassee community. We've been to several of the Tallahassee Senior Center Foundation's Lunch and Learns, if any of you have ever attended any of those. We've done multiple events with them. We also try to reach out to local high schools and teach some of the high schoolers there cybersecurity techniques. We're very fond of like practical hands-on hacking challenges. So, just teaching high schoolers how to hack. It's fun. In an ethical way, we do it responsibly. But yeah, if you want to stay at all connected with us, once again, there should be some business cards right in front of you that I have our email address. But you can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or here on, just reach out on this email address. So today we're going to be going over just a little bit about the basics of phishing attacks. Then we're going to go into the growth and scale of these attacks. I think I may have rearranged the order of these slides just a bit, but we're going to go into the long-term scam life cycle and a little bit about these long-term phishing scams, which is a relatively new type of phishing scam that came up within the last 3 to 4 years with the onset of new technologies and a very bad business erupting in Southeast Asia. So it's a little bit concerning there. We'll also go into a real world story so that you all can see like how this affects somebody and all of the signs that they witnessed. A very good video we have to show you. Then we're going to go into a little bit about what's being done, because as we'll get into later, this is a massive, massive problem on a global scale, and things need to be done. And then what should we do as people to help stop and prevent our friends, our loved ones, ourselves from being victims of these scams? And one thing that I do want to get across is that anybody can be a victim of a phishing scam, especially these newer long-term ones. And we'll get into just why that is in just a minute. But for now, we'll have Ivan come up and speak about the basics of phishing attacks. And once again, feel free, we really like interactivity in our presentation. So absolutely feel free if you have any questions at all, just raise your hand during the presentation. Sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ivan, and I hope all of you are having a good Sunday. I'm going to get into the basics of phishing attacks and a little bit. So phishing is something that is also, you may also hear social engineering as a term. So social engineering is when cyber criminals, they try and manipulate people, trying to get away with like giving secrets, getting your secrets, whether that's passwords, your social security number, any type of information that they try to get their hands on. They do this in a bunch of different ways. The most popular is pretending to be someone that you trust, whether it's a company or a friend maybe. But they know obviously that they're going to be more likely to get information out of you if it's someone that you think that you trust. This may happen as like a fake email. They may try and send an email where it looks real, but it's from a hacker, and they're just trying to get information out of you. They get this information out of you. Yes.
You can go ahead. I'm just gonna come up there and fix the network real quick.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I'm using the first hotspots when I walked away. He got rid of the actual network connection, so images won't load, which we will need for this presentation.
Yeah.
So yes. Sorry, as per the Cybersecurity Community Outreach Organization, IT issues,
technical
issues happens to everybody. So let me go ahead and instantly fixed, not even an issue. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this here.
You want me? Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sorry about that, everybody. So, sweet. We'll let that go. Hit the
Should
present button up in the top right.
we were here? Yep.
Perfect.
All right. So back to business. As I was saying, that these cyber criminals, some ways that they try and get this information out of you is that they could send a fake email, try and get you to click a link and enter your information in that link. That's one way. There's much of other ways. We're going to get into a bunch of different ways. These are a bunch of different categories of social engineering. We're going to get into most of them. I don't think we get into all of them, but we get into most of them. I'm going to start off with pretexting. And pretexting is when a hacker creates a fake situation. That way, they try and act as the solution to that problem. So, in one case, as before, like I said, they might act as someone that you trust. Maybe it's a company representative, a friend, but they just are trying to get your trust, your confidence, so that you believe that they are the ones that are actually going to fix the problem in this case. Of course, it's important that you're cautious. Make sure you verify everything that you do, especially on the internet, the identity of anyone, especially when it comes to the access of your devices, access of your information. Another type of social engineering is phishing, like we spoke earlier. And phishing is when they pretend to be someone you trust. They're trying to steal information like your passwords, maybe a credit card number. There's a bunch of different types of phishing. And the first one I'm going to go over is email phishing. And that's when they just send mass emails to people. And it's just try and just get the word out to everybody they can. And so it's not like a personal email sent to you. It won't have your name, something like that. And they're just going to try and get everyone out and like sent an email. You click that link and try and get their personal information that way. And spear phishing is when it is personalized towards you. So in this case, they might grab a little bit of information about you and from something on the internet. And with that little piece of information, they're going to try and get more out of you. And because it's personalized, it makes it more believable because it's centered towards you. Vishing is another type of phishing, and that is voice phishing. So that's when you get a phone call, and it may be a bank, for instance, saying, "Hey, your account is locked up. Like, please send me your security question answers," something like that. As for smishing is SMS phishing, and those are text messages. It's the same thing. They're going to try and act like a legitimate person, someone you trust, and just try and get the information out of you.
Can we get a show of hands for how many of us have received scam phone calls within the last, let's say, week or so? Get them all the time, everywhere. Everybody in America is inundated with them right now. How about text messages? Yeah. Much more so. So we'll go into a little bit on that later.
Yeah, we're gonna get
one that you'll probably have seen before.
Yeah, we're gonna get into plenty of examples in a little bit. This is actually one of our first examples. This is an email sent out. It's just an email phishing where it's not centered towards anybody because it says "Dear member," but there's just little details that you need to pick up on where hackers can make mistakes, and that's where you can separate the real emails versus a phishing attack. One of these is at the very top. You can see that the message says "from Bank of America." However, the email address that it was sent from is not from Bank of America. So that's your first red flag raised. Another one is the two line where it says undisclosed recipients, where if in this case it's centered towards you, it'd be a little more personalized there. Like I said, where it's "Dear member," usually if a company is to acknowledge you as like member or something like that, they would put a capital M or just capitalize the first letter. And another red flag is right at the link. So the link in the blue says bankofamerica.com, but if you're using your laptop and you use your mouse to hover over the URL, it will actually show where you are being sent to. So it may say bankofamerica.com, but if you hover over it, it's actually sending you to bit.do and the rest. So um, it's not sending you to bankofamerica.com. And that's one big clue to pick up on.
Unfortunately, that does not work on mobile.
Yes.
There's no way to hover over a link on mobile.
Yes, on mobile, since it's your finger, you tap on it. There is no way to do that. But
if you're on PC,
yes,
you see a malicious or just anything, hover over it, see where it's gonna take you. That's one thing you have in your power to do.
Yes. And I do know we have a couple more examples. These are text messages. And the first one we'll look at is on the left. And if you just read the message at first, it'll say, "Dear Walmart shopper, congrats, you just won a $1,000 Target gift card." So a lot to go from there, kind of thinking, all right, that's interesting that they work together there for that. But if you continue reading in the last line, actually, the link says to click on walmartclick.com, except Walmart has 3 L's. So that's another thing. And you can be like, another thing is also the number that it was sent from. A 5555 number is used a lot when it comes to scammers. They're trying to hide who they really are, so they'll use that number instead. And that's it for the left one. But in the right, in blue, it's actually coming from a real phone number, which also is questionable because you have no idea who this phone number is.
And another little tidbit about that, I no longer answer phone calls with my hometown's area code because they can spoof that completely.
Yes.
I answered one wrong phone call and I got put on a scam text message list or something, and they apparently knew what my original area code was, or they probably could just look at my own phone number and then just spoof it off of that. So that's another interesting thing there. The left one, the 555 number, that might not be the most useful because they can put whatever phone number they want on their CV.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, like you said, area codes, it's very, even now, it's like, you know what your area code is on just looking at a phone number. In this case, I don't know what 405 is, honestly. But if it's just if it's an area code that you don't recognize or a number you don't recognize, it's just like, why are you texting me? Yes.
I mean, you even get your 850, and you're thinking it's somebody local, and that should be somebody,
Right.
in my neighborhood.
Right. And it's, you think it's someone that's in your neighborhood and it turns out to be a scammer or something. But it's always important to be cautious. And if we continue reading on to the text message on the right, it's actually just trying to act as your federal credit union, the Texas University Community Federal Credit Union, and they actually use the end of your card, and an attacker may use that just to get more of a personalization on it, but they could have found that just from like a receipt lying around or something like that. But there are ways that they can find that information and try and get you to give them even more information. And this is an example. I know a lot of people get this one. I probably got this a couple days ago. But from a 914 area code number, I don't know where 914 is either, but I don't think that UPS would be texting me from a 914 area code number. But and another questionable thing is that whether or not do have a delivery coming, because I do get those email or those text messages, and I'd never ordered a package or expecting one. Yes.
But for those that are expecting a package, like me, me one time when these first started rolling out
Mhm.
around like maybe 2018, maybe just a little bit after that. We've all been getting this one for a long time, I imagine, right? Everybody in this room may have seen this already. The first time I got one, I was expecting a package, so I was like, "Uh oh," and I almost clicked it until I'm just looking at it and I recognize a few of the like signs that it wasn't exactly legit, hence area code, other things, and then not hovering over the link, but just investigating the link and being like,
Yes.
my parcel dash UPS. That's not UPS.com. That's my parcel dash UPS.com.
Yes.
So that's a different thing.
So that's where I was going to get towards, where it's like, even if you think it may be actually UPS, you can look up my parcel dash UPS. You can ask someone and say, hey, like, do you know, like, have you gotten this as well? Just asking people or searching if this is legitimate or not.
Yeah, and I would always think that my parcel would be after the .com.
Right. Yeah, that's actually true. And the next attack that we're going to go over is called quid pro quo. And this is when a scammer is trying to offer you something, and in return, they're still trying to gain your information, things like that. They try and gain access to your computer. They may try and gain an access for an account through passwords. There's a lot of different examples for this. I know there's fake IT support calls is a big one, and there's also there was an example about a Facebook group. And does anyone here use Facebook? Yes, but I know that there was an example with Facebook where someone was looking for FSU graduation tickets. And so they went on Facebook in a group and asked, oh, is anyone selling tickets? Anything like that. And someone said that they do have tickets, and they reached out about a little bit more about more information about the tickets. And I believe that the seller said like, oh, like I have the tickets, like I would never try and scam anyone. And they sent an email confirmation of the tickets, and it turned out that it said it was another university on it. And yeah, it was Tampa or USF. It was it was not Florida State, the tickets you're looking for. And I do know if that is the case, you also like question it as well. I know I don't remember if in this example they did it or not, but you could say like, hey, like I'm looking, you can test them. Like, I'm looking for tickets on a Monday night. And be like, oh, I still have it. But graduations are not usually on Monday nights. They're usually on like a Friday or on a weekend. But if they're saying that they have tickets for a graduation that doesn't exist, it's kind of a red flag. But that's one example. There's plenty of other examples. Popular ones, fake contest winnings. I do know that we're going to get into a few examples of those as well. Yes.
In that story that Ivan was speaking about, this actually happened to one of our coworkers at the time, and they were subject to this. And they did the testing thing, which is awesome. Like telling them, hey, do you have one for Monday? When there's no graduation on Monday. Fantastic. They also looked at the background like image of the ticket and found that it was what for South American University, which that's not where we are. So a few things didn't add up. So always be very aware and skeptical.
Yes. And when it comes to quid pro quo scams, when it like trying to respond to it, things to do, obviously the first thing is try and verify the source, try and verify where this call or the offer is coming from. You can do this by like just consulting with a friend, consulting with people that you trust, and just just confirming that the offer is legitimate. Also, make sure not to provide personal information, financial information, just in case as well if it's. And the last thing to do is report the scam. There's plenty of different things you can report the scam to. IC3, the IC3 is the FBI's website where you can report online phishing scams. And also, I do believe you can report it to FD Elite. I don't know the exact link for it, but you can also report it to FDLE as well.
Do you all have the paper here, the brochure? Let me pass these out real quick. This is going to be very helpful.
Yes, and then the brochure does have some of the links as well.
Let me get these out for you guys. This is going to contain a few helpful resources for you guys.
Yes.
Great, 'cause I have this one.
So I didn't pass these out earlier.
So the next attack that we're going to go over is a scareware attack. And scareware is where the attacker is trying to essentially get you scared to do an action, and that action is to give them the information that they want. One of the big ones is they try and get you to think that your computer has a virus. They say you have a virus and you need to act right now. And so they're just trying to get you not to like stop and think for a second. They want you to do immediate action, and that will lead to them getting what they want. Like they may ask for your credit card information, and they may say we need it in the next 2 minutes. And we're going to go over a few examples of that as well. They can also try and send links. I do know the next one, I believe. Yes. So on this one, it's malware detected. Your phone is infected by viruses. One of the first things to look at is that Google and Bing. But the URL also says Apple Online Guard. So it's very first thing is like, which one is it from? But also, if there is malware on any of your devices, there says 13 minutes remaining. If you have malware on your device, that timer means nothing. It's already on there, and they're just trying to get you to act quick and to just do the next move without just not using any like thinking, something like that. And they want you to tap on the repair phone now, so that way you think that you're fixing your phone, but it may lead to giving away access to your devices. And another example here is a virus found. Make sure you call this number, call tech support. Apple's found 13 viruses. And it's the same thing. They send you a pop-up, but don't call the number. It probably won't be Apple. One thing you can do is just make sure you can reach out to Apple or reach out to someone and be like, hey, like if this is the number to call, or go to Apple's website and try and find the number yourself.
Do not call any numbers that are on.
Yes.
Call them yourself. Talk to a family member if you're all like, hey, is this the right number? Just you see a number from your thing on your phone saying, hey, click here to contact your bank in order to do this. You contact your bank yourself to confirm that information. You know the right number. You know the correct URLs. Don't let them tell you.
Yes. Make sure to verify that they are the correct numbers and things like that. When it comes to scareware, there's a couple of ways that you can protect yourself from it. Like we've been discussing, make sure you verify the sources, and just make sure, like for antivirus, make sure the antivirus is one that you trust, or one that it's a trustworthy antivirus, and it's not just a, hey, we have free antivirus software. It's like, just give us your credit card information. But another way is enabling pop-up blockers. So that way you don't get just pop-ups on your screens like the one in the middle. And avoid clicking suspicious links as well. Of course, it's important. Make sure that you know what websites you're going to. And the last one is making sure that your devices are up to date. It's important to update your devices because a lot of these updates come with so what I'm looking for. It comes with
anti-malware.
Yes, it comes with system bugs, bug fixes, and things like that can help when it comes to malware, anti-malware.
And the most important thing there is that you need to keep your systems updated.
Yes.
In order for those tools to remain as effective as they can be. That's why as annoying as it is nowadays having to update your devices every 3.5 seconds, there are very good reasons why they have these updates so frequently now. And often the case, every month, Microsoft, how many of us use a Windows computer? Every month, Microsoft pushes out security updates. So that's why you have all these random updates coming in. And that's how you stay safe without even having to do anything else. No extra antivirus needed if you just keep your systems updated, unless you're going out of your way to do things that you shouldn't be doing. So I assume you do not go into the scary places on the internet.
I had a question for you. Yeah, we traveled a few years ago to Mount Dora. Brought my laptop with me. Wanted to find out what's in the area for entertainment. All of a sudden, my screen goes wah 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 wah, like it's being ready to explode. And it's like and they had that 800 number or whatever 888. Call this number now. And so like I said, it was just a barrage of all kinds of screens and warnings. And I go, wow, I don't feel like I want to bring my laptop with me to check out anything local because it's scary.
That is definitely all the telltale signs of a very bad pop-up on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Call this 800 number now.
Yeah.
Just trying to scare you.
Just trying to look for places to go. But anyway, without the paper stuff.
No, that's a fantastic example. That's when you just close the tab, and was it just on your browser?
Yeah.
Yep. So they can put anything they want on those websites, as we saw in any of these examples right here. They can do whatever they want. They can make all sorts of scary pop-ups.
Yeah.
And oftentimes those come in the form of just ads that, what they actually have is online. All these malicious actors are able to bid to get their ads onto these websites, and the websites either allow them or have no say in what ads actually appear. That's why you see maybe some sketchy ads in Google sometimes, because it's just a bidding process.
It's money. Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of scary things online. You just gotta ignore it, close it, get out of there.
Yep. Absolutely.
And don't click on anything. Just stop, take a breath, and continue on.
Yes, always think before doing something, especially on the internet, because you just don't know where you are going to. It's not like when in physical in person where where you're walking to or where you're driving to. It's very different. Another attack that we're going to talk about is baiting. And baiting is when an attacker tries to use something appealing to you so that you can try and click a link or try and get their credit card information. One of the popular ones is a USB. A USB may be lying on the ground, be like, oh, look, like free USB stick, but do not plug that into your laptop because you have no idea what is on that USB. And it could install malware on your system or something like that. Another popular one is fake Facebook listings, where they may say, hey, we're giving away, I do have a few examples of that, but we're giving away this for free, just come on down, and things like that. I know, yeah, so here's a few examples. On the left here, it's from Best Buy. It's congrats, you've been chosen to participate in this survey. It just takes a minute and you'll receive a prize. But if you look further down in the blue, it says you only have 1 minute and 22 seconds to participate. So, I mean, it seems interesting that Best Buy is only giving me less than 90 seconds to complete this survey. But it's definitely one thing to look out towards because it does happen a lot. And the one in the middle is another one where it's saying that for a brand new iPad, pay only $1. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But you have to do it. And attention, this offer expires in 3/20/11/58. But of course, iPads don't cost $1. No one's going to be selling it for $1. So it's definitely something where it's like, you just got to sit back and think about it and be like, is this really true? But usually it's not. Here's a few Facebook listings, and it's just people just saying, hey, just trying to clean out items, or we're giving away this, some things like that, where they just try and get you to interact with them because of these listings where it's just too good to be true, and usually it is too good to be true. And we're going to move over to Matt, who's going to talk about more about what happens after you get phished.
All right, let's get into some of the scary stuff. Okay. So sweet. Oh yeah, microphone. Yeah. Are there any questions about anything that we went over before we get into some of the new stuff? Okay, so just as a brief overview, one of the most important things, and the thing that we saw in just about every single one of those phishing examples, is that a lot of those just had to do with a sense of urgency, right? Every single one had a timer. Your package is about to be null and void, and it may contain, important stuff in it that you don't want to miss out on. So they're always trying to get you to do something fast. And what happens when you click on one of these things and you enter in your payment information, right? Well, it's actually really interesting because they actually set up hundreds and hundreds upon maybe even thousands of phones that they will load up with multiple card information on their wallet. How many of us use like Apple Wallet or whatever other phone wallet things they have nowadays? There's a ton of them, but they'll load up payment information onto those and then just sell the phones on dark markets. So rather than just buying payment card information, which they can do, they may also buy cell phones loaded up with all sorts of payment information, which that's just wild to me that they have all of these phones. So another thing now regarding phishing scams, we spoke about a little bit about the phones. This is a local occurrence right here in Tallahassee. That happened to one of our coworkers, family members, last year. That ended up costing them a grand total of $15,000. And that's all of your savings gone. So this is a absolutely crazy story. So it all started with, it's a phishing attack. So they get a phone call from a scammer saying, hey, we're with your bank. There's an issue with your account. You need to take your money out and go put it into this ATM machine. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So they're on the phone with them, and obviously this is a sense of urgency. This is an urgent thing. I'm about to lose money, and I can't afford to do that, right? So they are guided, still being on the phone, they are guided to their bank where, and throughout this entire attack, they're on the phone. They never hang up once. So they go to the bank, and as they walk in, the attacker is giving them instructions saying, hey, tell them I'm your nephew, which if you hear that, obviously you hang up right then and there, right? But unfortunately, this person did not. So they continued on to their bank where they withdrew $1,000. And the bank teller, they're all instructed to say, hey, are you being scammed right now? And this is to cover them. If they warned you, then, they warned you, right? It's all part of the new processes. It's also to help keep you safe. So the scammer tells them what to say. They have it all mapped out. They told them, tell them I'm your nephew. You just need this money because you're concerned about something or this or the other thing. And so they withdrew the money. Bank teller can't if somebody's asking for money, they can't just tell them no. They probably could nowadays because there's a lot of new laws coming in to stop these things from happening. So they get their money and they are guided step by step to a random gas station in the city, right here in Tallahassee, very local. So they go. I could probably find out where this bit stop machine is. How many of us have seen these in gas stations before? There's one right by my home, right by my house, and I'm like, I don't like that. But so they walk into the gas station, and what do the tellers see? They see a person walking in with a wad of $1,000 in cash. The gas station attendants are instructed to ask, excuse me, are you being scammed right now? Are you safe? Are you okay? They're still on the phone with the attacker, who tells them every single thing to say and guides them to go to this bit stop machine. And as they go to the bit stop machine, they're still on the phone. There are multiple screen prompts on these machines to get you to stop and think for a moment. Are you being scammed? Are you being scammed? Warning, warning. And they know every single menu. Press this button, press that button, press the X up there. Yes, continue. Now they tell them the exact numbers of which wallet to send it to, and the money's gone. And they say, okay, thank you. Your assets are safe. The next day, They realized they were scammed. And, we're only $1,000 in. So what happens next? They realize they were scammed. So they go to call their bank, right? Unbeknownst to them, the moment the bank answers, it's actually the attackers again. And they made a call to their bank this time. So how did this happen? They walk them through all of the same steps again, the exact same steps, this time for $14,000. I don't know any of the specifics as far as for how that happened, but once again, it's crazy that they made their call to the bank, right? And Mr. Haxon Morris answers, or whoever. How did this happen? Well, 2 months after this occurred, it was actually found that there was a malicious piece of software that you could get on your phone that would redirect and intercept phone calls you make to your banks. This was fresh off the presses. So right here in Tallahassee, somebody was the victim of a incredibly novel piece of technology, and that was awful. But with that being said, we're going to get into the next step. But this was just nuts, especially like for how recent and local this was. So, and remember that's a pretty advanced thing. A lot of us may have been able to immediately recognize the signs that this was a phishing scam. If somebody tells you that, hey, tell them I'm your nephew or your assets are in danger, please go here, you just hang up, let it go to voicemail, and be done with it, right? But we speak about a little bit of the urgency. In this attack, there was multiple feelings of urgency and stress here. But what if it's the exact opposite feelings? What if we start getting into the long-term phishing scams? Some of us may have heard about like romance scams. Have any of us heard of like the funny stories about when you get contacted by the Nigerian prince asking you to, they're in love with you and they need you to send them money? Well, this has completely changed with the advent of new technology and a unfortunate rise of major crime syndicates in Southeast Asia as of just after the pandemic era.
Even thinking in the United States alone, these dating sites, where a friend of mine has answered, and anyone that she's had contact with has stated in the beginning they're doing really well financially. Oh, I've got a house here and a house there, and then to find out, I need money.
Yep.
And this is on dating sites.
Yes.
Where someone is just merely wanting to meet somebody, not have something like this be like, am I stupid or am I,
They're a victim, right? Right. Whenever you're on a dating app and somebody, without you ever even meeting them, without you ever completely validating this person is real and there's an actual connection here, they start asking you for money, there's an issue here. But this goes a step even deeper than that. So these are called pig butchering scams. That's the most common term as it's known as. I didn't want to market this event as the pig butchering event because that sounds a little dark and scary, but unfortunately it is. So what it means by pig butchering here is that this is based on long-term emotional manipulation that targets start building a relationship, often found on dating sites. But how many of us get a text message from a random phone number that says, hey, how's it going? Anything else, but they've just gotten the wrong number, right? That's how this starts as well. Those are, especially now, more likely than not just people getting the wrong phone number, but not targeted attacks, but generalized attacks on any phone number they have.
So like, don't answer it.
Don't answer it. The moment you say, hey, yeah, sorry, you have the wrong phone number, they're going to try to start a conversation with you. And that's when they're going to start.
But they have your number. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, everybody has everybody's number nowadays. It's just the world we live in. Yes. Yes, so have I. I get them all the time. I get exact same situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Down the line or something.
Yep. So like I get some saying, "Hi, I'm John. I'm with this department. Hey, do you want? Are you interested in this like opportunity? Blah 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 blah." If I were to say wrong number, they'd be like, "Oh, sorry. I'm just well, now I'm on vacation. Here, check out. We'll get into this in a second here." So they're going to really try to develop validity and a relationship with you. But the turn is when they start getting you to invest in things like cryptocurrency. And that's where these things really start to get shady. And this is when they start fattening the pig here, where unfortunately all of the victims of these scams are the pigs in this case. They try to keep getting the person to invest and invest and invest into these cryptocurrencies that are completely fake. They don't exist and they do not even realize it.
Now, you're saying investments.
Yes.
Now, I watch YouTube a lot.
Mhm.
What about those investment companies
Mhm.
that do annuities, for example?
Mhm.
And I've had like a conversation with one, and I says, I'm still contemplating. I'm on the fence. I'm not sure what I want to do,
Mhm.
but I've given my social security number.
Mhm.
But that's about as far as it got.
Mhm.
It could be under any particular, because when you said investments,
Yes.
big investments, I just think I want to stick with my brick and mortar and kind of do that rather than
Sticking with brick and mortar has its benefits. It always does. If you want, you can talk to us a little bit after we get through this presentation material, and we can talk a little bit more in detail about that because that's pretty important. So let's go into the actual life cycle, start to finish, of how these attacks happen and a little bit more into the details so that you all can recognize when these things are happening. And they may be happening right now to your relatives or your loved ones. So the first step of these long-term phishing scams is to groom the victim. They initiate, as we just spoke about, any form of contact is the starting point for these people. And their primary goal, once they have you hooked in, they start talking to you. They say, "Hey, I'm actually, I'm living in Singapore. I have this great lifestyle." They're going to start trying to build trust to you. And before they get too far, they want you to get off the platform. Now, there's an actual similarity here to if you have any kids or grandkids that have played the game Roblox or any online game. It's also a common tactic of attackers on there to get the kids off of the Roblox platform, because Roblox is doing everything in their power to stop attackers from manipulating these kids into giving them money or worse. But if they get off the platform, there's nothing Roblox can do at that point. So in this case, they want you off of whatever dating app, whatever other thing, to encrypted messaging chats so nobody can know what's going on in there. So, for example, like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, what have you. Any of these are options for them. And then they start learning about you. They start acting super interested in your every single details about your life, which that can feel very good for a person who just wants to like get to know somebody. And all of us in this room probably have a ton we want to talk about to people, right? And the next step of this is they're going to start introducing you to investment opportunities. And if we look at the person on the right here, they're going to start showing off their completely lavish lifestyle. They're going to have nice cars. They're going to have all of these beautiful things traveling across the world. And they're going to say, you can have this lifestyle too, right now. So they're going to drop hints at, there's a little bit of urgency here. But at this point, you've already been speaking to them for 3 days to over a month at this point. You could be really attached to this person. And if you're connected with them, they want you to have this opportunity, right? They are living this lifestyle and you can too. So they're trying to introduce you to this can't miss investment opportunities through any of these specifically cryptocurrency apps. And a lot of these will have 5 reviews or something. And there's a reason for that I'll get into later. But this is supposed to introduce like a fear of missing out in you. You want to live that lifestyle. You want to maybe be with them, be like them, or other things like this. And then they also explain that this is a insider thing. Only me and you know about it. You should not tell anybody else about this Otherwise, other people will catch on and the opportunity will be gone. So this is between you and your connection, your new friend, right? So then we move on to the next step where they establish credibility. So they're going to send forged screenshots and fake trading dashboards showing profits that they have. And they're just trying to get you to see that, hey, it's just this easy. But on these low reviewed trading apps or websites, you may not know that they're sketchy, but they control every aspect of that app. They can completely fake that they've made over $1 million within the time you've been speaking to them. They have complete control over that. And these websites, these are major like organizations pulling these scams off. We'll go into just how major they are in a second. But they are able to create fake websites in minutes. They have all sorts of power to keep rotating websites for any new victim. So they have a lot of power here. And they'll give all sorts of anecdotes about any of their friends, some other people that they know, and they can offer screenshots, videos, testimonials from people that may or may not actually exist. So once they've established credibility and you're ready to maybe put in a little bit, dip your foot in on the investments, right? I'm not ready to put my life savings in, but I'll just toss in $100. I'm okay if I get scammed out of that much, right? It can't hurt too much. And then you'll get money. You'll put the $100 in, it'll go up to 500. They'll let you withdraw that. This is where things have changed in recent times. Because how much money these organizations are raking in off of these scams, they'll actually let you take out some additional money. And then once you get that, I just made $400 off this investment, you're going all in. You just 5 times what you put in. So, and they have complete control to do that. They control every aspect of these apps. They'll try to confuse you, use jargon, but you're making money. You're sending it, right? Putting in your savings there. And then this is where it gets bad, is they're going to say the window is closing. You need to put in more money if you want to make it. Other people are starting to catch on. The returns are still high right now, but give it another few days and they're gone. Put your money in now. And that's where the urgency comes in. So, and at this point, you've been speaking to them for maybe over a month, a few weeks, and you're pretty connected with this person. You want to live their lifestyle. They've shown you that you can. You've made money at this point. And they depending on your level of relationship with them, they could use guilt, praise, or fear to get you to put more money in, right? And this is awful. And then this is where we're at the butchering stage. Once you've put in however much money you've put in, you're going to try to take your money out. And as you try to do that at this point, once you're past that threshold, they realize, all right, this person is starting to catch on. They want out. They're going to present walls, payment walls. Sorry, you need to pay taxes on all of the money that you've put in. Up, there's an error. Please try again tomorrow. Up, there's an error. Put in a little bit more money here, right? And you just can't take out money unless you put more in. Taxes, fees, whatever. And this will just continue happening forever until eventually you're out. They leave. They've made all the money they can, and you have nothing left. Because once you've developed a relationship, you've seen these walls, you're just trying to get your money out that you put in, and they keep demanding more fees, taxes, other things. At that point, anybody can be a victim to these scams because this involves close emotional ties, right? And this has happened to people of any age group. And it's absolutely devastating to those victims. So at this point, you can't do too much, right? So we're going to go into, and I'm going to play this video. I have no idea what the audio situation is in this room. So let me go ahead and test this real quick because this is a fantastic story that touches on every single step that I just demonstrated to you today. So let me go ahead and just test this really quick. I don't want to deafen anybody. Maybe. Let's see. I should also plug in my laptop. Here, let me see if I can figure out the audio situation because this video is pretty important. Perfect. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about any of the actual life cycle there? Let's see if I can figure this out. Oh, here we go. Maybe. No, that's my speakers. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. We could probably come back to this at the end if we would like. Wired mic, belt, blah, 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 source. If I play, what happens? Should be playing audio right now. Let me see. Yeah, I figured that wouldn't work. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why the audio isn't working. It worked in here every other presentation we've done in this room, but just not today. Okay, we'll figure this out later. Yeah, there's no other settings here. So, I don't know. Well, we'll look at this later. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and move on because that is a fantastic video. And all of you, if you do, on our business card there is a QR code and a website. If you go to the website, you can subscribe to our newsletter, or you can just come up here and write down your email address and name on this piece of paper, and we can send you a newsletter that will have all of the slides included in this, and it'll be sent to you at the end of this month. So let's talk a little bit about the growth and scale of these attacks. So here we have, supposedly in 2024, according to the Department of State in the U.S., it has cost at least $10 billion for U.S. citizens subject to these scams. How visible is the right side to you guys? Probably not very. Perfect. So let's go through a few of these statistics here to see how much like these scams are affecting us. So we may see that this is primarily based on the number of actual reports of these kinds of frauds. So the type of fraud we mainly spoke about just now, as the FTC classifies them, are investment scams. So if we look, we see 2.6 million fraud reports. The top on the list being imposter scams. So somebody posing as you, stealing your identity, or posing as somebody else. Number 4 is the investment scams. But the thing is that investment scams almost certainly rake in the most money out of any of these other options, despite imposters, online shopping, negative reviews, all of these others actually being reported a lot more. So we see that in 2022, we see losses to investment scams is rising perfectly. Rise 3.8 billion in 2022, 4.6 billion in 2023 to 5.7 billion. And that's crazy. And one very wild statistic here is that they are actually reporting that younger people are reporting losing money to fraud more often than older people. Now, this could be for a number of reasons. Younger people are more likely to report anything, right? We're more tech savvy. We're going to like hop on the site as soon as we can to report that we've lost money. And then maybe there's like a little bit more shame. And that's one thing that I really want to like, there's no shame in being a victim of this. In the video that I really wanted to show, that person was no older than 40 years old, right? They were a young adult who was subject to this, and they lost thousands of dollars to the scams. And many people in the workforce. In fact, recently, and I don't really have this on the presentation slides here, but I absolutely should have included it, a bank recently shut down due to one of these scams. An entire bank, because the CEO withdrew all of the money from the bank's coffers effectively. That's a crazy story that I absolutely encourage you to look up. And that's a CEO being subject to these scams. And as the video suggests, is that the scammers are just getting too good. So in Florida, in 2021, we see that there was 45,000 numbers of like fraud reported, right? And we see that there was a total loss of $75.2 million. This was in 2021, which is right around the start of when these long-term phishing scams, these pig butchering scams started taking place. Can we take a guess how much this has increased over the last 4 years? So are we thinking maybe 25% increase? Here, let's get a show of hands. Raise your hand if you think it was a 25% increase. 50% increase. Okay, two for 50%. 75%. One, okay. 100% increase? Okay, I think that's... So, if we look, actually, it was the 3 times increase in the amount lost within the last 3 years. This was in 2020. No, sorry, 4 years. This is in 2025, which that is wildly scary and concerning, and that is nuts for these specific frauds. Like that's a scary increase. So, and one very dark avenue of this is that you may see online a lot of these people messing with the scammers, right? When it comes to these new types of scams, actually, it's been found that there's a lot of very dark things happening in Southeast Asia. A lot of these scammers, in fact, hundreds of thousands of people, are actually the victims of human trafficking occurring in Cambodia, Malaysia, and a few other Southeast countries. And that's terrible. If we look in Cambodia, actually here, I don't know how many of you read that. This is where it gets scary. What percentage of Cambodia's GDP do you think these scam farms are? 75% of the GDP? Anybody else? Just feel free to blurt out a number. 100? It's actually found that about half to maybe 60% of the country's GDP is based off of these scams. And what that pretty much means is that they run that show. They are a vital part of Cambodia's economy. So the government isn't really in any sort of position or incentive. They're not economically incentivized to shut these operations down. And there is a whole history to these operations over the last 5 years. In 2018, they really started investing heavily into gambling. But an event occurred in 2020. 2 things happened that really shut this investment down. One, Cambodia actually, I believe, banned, and please fact check me here, but I'm pretty sure the government in Cambodia actually intervened with the increase in gambling, but also there was a pandemic at the time, which that completely shut all of those operations down. But they didn't want to lose out on all the money that they spent in building these facilities out there for the gambling. So they made them into scam farms and found that it's actually more profitable than even the drug trade over there. It's far more profitable than gambling. And to just show you how much these facilities have increased over the last few years here, take a look at this. So let's see if we can zoom in. This is probably going to be very hard to see, but this was in 2021. We can see a few buildings popping up. This is in 2022, 2023, 2024, and this is recently, 2025. You can see this is 2019 all the way up until 2025. This is a massive, massive facility. This is on the, as some people have put it in some reports, this is on the scale of like major tech company campuses that are dedicated to holding trafficked victims to scam U.S. citizens online, which is one of the worst things that I've heard in any recent news. So these are highly sophisticated, devastating, terrible scams, these pig butchering scams, long-term phishing scams. And that's what I mean by these are sophisticated threat actors. This is billions and billions of dollars being siphoned out globally to these compounds. So what's being done? Thankfully, as of this year, quite a bit is being done. Earlier this year, There was actually the Thailand, which is, if you are maybe not as familiar with the Southeast Asian geography, you have Cambodia with Thailand in the middle, and then you have Malaysia. So Thailand being right next to these two, Malaysia and Cambodia being one of two of the countries that have the most amount of these scam facilities. Thailand is right in the middle of them. So not Malaysia. I am very sorry. That was Myanmar. We can see it right up there. Terribly sorry about that. But with that being said, they recently shut down power. The government is stepping in. The Thailand government is stepping in to actually stop these. And in fact, Thailand and China are now starting to coordinate a little bit in stopping these scam calls and stopping these scam facilities, these scam farms from growing and getting any worse. As far as the US, very recently, September of this year, there's a bill introduced to the House. Now, this is going to be impossible for you guys to read, but I'm going to read to establish a interagency task force to dismantle and shut down transnational criminal syndicates perpetuating mass online scam operations against Americans. So this is a bill introduced to create a to create a task force to stop this, because that's what needs to be done. And I'm very happy to see that it's at least introduced now a opportunity to stop what's happening here.
That's interesting. You're talking about the United States, then you're talking about Thailand, and how intricate this is to stop this kind of trafficking.
Yes.
And the money making and all that, and that it just. Well, I'm sorry.
It's wild. It is incredibly scary.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful that as of this year, there's so much being done to stop this. So, very interestingly, down on the bottom, throughout this year, SpaceX's Starlink was actually under a lot of fire because their systems were actively being used to support these operations. And recently, as in the last few months, they started getting under fire. And right after, we can see that in October 14th, the chairman of the Prince Group, who was a person who was indicted for leading and operating these forced labor camp scam compounds, they were actually indicted for this. And just after that, SpaceX has now cut the services to these Myanmar scam camps. So that was just very wild to hear that Starlink was being used to support this. And thankfully, they've cut that off at this point. Now, this is and a lot of the information that I presented to you today actually came from this Operation Shamrock. They're doing incredible work to try to raise awareness about these kind of scams, because one of the best ways to stop these scams is to raise awareness. I presented you a lot of the entire layout of how these scams work. You get any text whatsoever, right? Then they try to build a relationship, and then they introduce you to cryptocurrency. Shamrock is doing fantastic things to educate the people and presenting all these options, going on news outlets to raise awareness about these stories. It's incredibly important, because if you're aware of these, you'll know the signs and you'll be able to stop yourself or a loved one before it's too late. So, what should I do? Operation Shamrock recommends you do the following. If you have been scammed, collect evidence of the scam. Whenever you're doing anything online and you think you may be at risk of something, start taking screenshots. Start taking a picture. Do whatever you can to document your process. If you have been scammed already, document whatever you can. Get any sort of screenshots of conversations, any invoices, any payment records. You're going to need that. And then once you have that, report it to the FBI. On that paper, you'll see numerous links. One at the top of the left side, you should see IC3. Ivan spoke a little bit about them. That is the go-to place to report any of these scams. You can also report it to the FTC, as also Ivan mentioned. And then you can contact your local law enforcement. It's incredibly important that you contact and report this information, because that's all of those statistics that I presented earlier about the increase in the amount. That is what is likely a overwhelmingly gross underestimate of the amount of money being siphoned out of US citizens, because that's only what's been reported. And if you have had anyone you know that was the victim of a scam, you may know that there's a lot of maybe shame or embarrassment of being, gullible to these scams. But as I've presented to you, this is anyone can be a victim. They actually have a rule in their code books that anyone is scammable as long as you have the right playbook. And they literally have a playbook. They go down a list of responses to anything you may say. So please report it. You can report it to your local law enforcement, the Leon County Sheriff's Department for us here. You can also report it to Operation Shamrock's Chain of Use portal. It's another option to help give that awesome operation some more information and tell your story as well. And be kind to yourself. Remember, you're a victim of a very large and unfortunate operation that is occurring. There's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, and just do what you can to help keep whatever assets you still have safe, and tell your family, and just be as kind as you can to yourself. So that was the presentation on the long-term scams. I know that got very heavy very quick, but that's just the unfortunate situation of that subject. So I would still love to get that audio working, because that video is incredibly powerful and incredibly useful. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we went over, or any resources that you have right there in front of you, just please let me know. I really want to get this audio working. So if you could all, what time? We still have a few minutes. So if you're all fine, I can try to get the audio working, and Ivan or Aaron can answer any of your questions.
Total, I put in 77K. I actually borrow money from 9 of my friends, about 40K. Some of them criticize me. Why
There are subtitles.
I think it's not true. Not like because we are too down. It's just because they are too good. I actually met this man from Coffee Meet Bagger.
Dating website.
For like, okay, why not we just change to other platform to check? So he will ask for my WhatsApp number.
So once again, there we saw one of the steps that I mentioned earlier. They're trying to get you off the platform, where no moderation tools can stop what's about to happen.
He slowly get to know me. What is my background? What is my personality?
Start probing into their lives.
Quite concerned about me. How's your day? Have you eaten? Have your meal? Make you to feel like we are closer and closer. He knows I'm that kind of sporty person. I like exercise. He also like exercise or do sport or whatever. He make it very real, because he mentioned about he staying in Yishun. Tell me what this blog. Because that time recently it's raining a bit, so he's like, okay, just now he has slept. He asked me what do you like to eat? What is your preference? I said, okay, I like Korean food. Let's meet out after 2 weeks. It's look like soon, but not so soon yet. After 5 days, he mentioned about this investment. Hey, why not we just play a small game? So I follow his instruction, log in his account.
So there's another 5-star review app.
Do you want to join me? I refuse and reject him for many times. I think he always uses my weakness point, because he know I love my family and friends a lot.
They've already probed into your life.
I can make my family life better, more stable life. He made you feel like this is just a small sum of money. I said, I don't know I should trust you or not. But he said, you can just put $100 first.
So that's what I'm saying. They try to get you to just dip your foot in.
It makes me feel guilty that I don't trust a person. I'm thinking okay, it's okay. I just want to meet him in another few days. So I think this is another point like he made me fall to this trap. I put it $100 at first and get back 110, about 10% interest. So make you to have the impression like I told you. So you can actually earn. He asked me like, why not you just put 1,000? Then he said, then you can borrow from your friend or your family.
Start
So
borrowing
I said,
from your
I
loved
never borrowed
ones.
money from anyone before. And he said, it's okay. After 3 days, you can get back the money and you can return back to them. You can share some your earn to them. Initially, he asked me I shouldn't share with anyone because if I share, everyone get to play this. So in the end, we can't really earn. I think because my friend they quite trust me, so some of them never even ask a question. They just straight away send me the money. He told me the system found out they violate some rules. They block our account.
And we're in the end game now. They've already put in a bunch of money.
So the customer service mentioned in order to unfreeze this account, I need to pay about 50%. The time is about 70K plus. We top up the 35K. Then they say got some tax.
And now there's the tax.
Another like 10 or 11K.
And they're just trying to bleed you dry every step of the way.
And then I try to look back like how much total amount I have borrowed. Then I realized it's 40K. I think in one point of time I realized it could be a scam. I should wake up. I learned from the lesson is everything I keep it to myself. I never share it. At least more people listen to it, the story, they can help you to analyze it. Because that time I was quite stuck, so I won't really think straight. I might have like not telling them the truth. So if they approach a nice way, could it be a scam? What are you really facing it, or what kind of investment is it? If like more and more people ask me, so might have made me think twice. We shouldn't think like we won't become the next one. We always too underestimate them. They always change a lot of strategy. I think they are quite good in psychology. They actually have a group of people behind it to plan all these things. So
Oh wait, here's a
it's
good
not
last
like
line.
because we are too dumb. It's just because they are too good.
And then, so that was a fantastic video that, if you've noticed, every single step that I told you about the life cycle of these scams was exactly what happened to this person, almost step by step by step. And this is happening to millions of other people around the globe, extracting billions of dollars. And with that level of profit for governments over there, there's not a huge incentive to stop it. Until, thankfully, now that we have other people starting to really raise awareness and really step in.
That's smart. It's amazing. Again, the step-by-step luring in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so manipulative.
It is
so
terrible.
Amazing to really get to know you and build this.
Yes, and it's not.
I care.
And it's not like on the other end of the phone, it is more likely than not just somebody who is a victim of human trafficking over there, which is just adds so much worse to the feelings of just what's happening out there.